Okay, so that's all I like to say about that game. So we move on to the next one. I've got a few games that I'd like to bring each and every one if possibly. And okay, one of you got a question for me, and it was like, at the start of the middle game, I usually don't know what to do or how to continue. Please give me some tips. I will, with the next example that I'm going to bring. So, the most important thing in the middle game is to make a plan. Now, how to make a plan is certainly what we're going to discuss, and there is this next game I'd like to bring. So, okay, here we go. Now let's talk about this. This was a game that was played by Ravi Chandrasekhar, sorry for the hard pronunciation, and it was lost. So Ravi sent that game with a couple questions, like how to calculate the middle game and end game. Good question. Thank you for asking it. See, calculation is a challenging question because it often means that, you have to be clear on how much you have to calculate. My simplest advice for you is, as long as the position isn't really too sharp and too tactical or too dangerous, try to stay away from calculating too much. You can just calculate a couple of moves that are related to your plan and just calculate them, as long as you just make sure that the move or the idea you're considering is good. See, so for instance, let's talk about this position. How should we calculate? Well, I think we have pretty clear idea. White wants to attack the a7. The calculation must always start with the question, what does our pawn want to do? And now we know that he wants to attack both of these pawns, so it's clear where we have to calculate. Now we have to, whatever we do, we have to figure out a good way to defend them. Like how to calculate, what are the rules for playing in the middle game? Now, this is not a middle game, but it is similar. What is important is that, first of all, in any middle game or in end game, you must have a plan, and planning goes within 3 steps. Now, don't forget these 3 steps. The first step, which is very important, is asking yourself the question, what is my strategy? What's strategy in chess? Strategy is used by books and lectures for anything, pretty much variety of a lot of different things that, yeah, that's not strategy. Strategy is the decision of what is it that you would like to do in the position. Like more of an intuitive guess, looking at the situation and thinking about the prospects you have. What do you want to do? I think right now the strategy is just to get safe, to defend. See, this is the first question. What do I want to do in this position? What do I have to do? Defend. Okay? Sometimes it will be to attack. Sometimes it will be to improve. Now I want to defend. So there comes the second thing. Second thing is the area. You must find out where do you want to do that. Is it kingside? Is it queenside? Is this in center or some specific area like f7 and a7? You want to be very clear on that, because that area will help you to be very consistent and avoid drifting or deviating from your plan. And 3, you must have the right set of moves. Like in this position, white really wants to be very scary. So what can we do? You play king to g6, and then a6, and then rook b8, which actually did not go that well. So you said that a5 is a good move. And that's the third thing about planning. You don't want to just go with one move. The secret is in having like a, what's a to-do list, right? I mean, when you're working on a project or at school, you have that, like, they ask you do this, that, and that. And then you write those down, and then you say, okay, let's try to start with the most important, The same thing is in chess. If you have a to-do list, you could begin with the most important. So number 1, I start with that. Number 2, I do this. Number 3, I do that. And if you have to make a list of candidate moves in this position, I think one move is king g6. The other one is a5. The third one could be a6, I suppose. And I think that's about it. We don't need more than a couple. I think we have a few candidates, and the best way to get started is, let's begin the move that's, I guess, safer. a5 would be protected by the rook, and then after king g6, it's good.